vineyards, and seeing the fruits of one's labor are the themes from our readings this morning. Isaiah shares a song about a vineyard in today's first reading. The vineyard has been planted with choice grape plants, but it's producing wild, unsavory fruit. Isaiah speaks his words to the people of Israel. God, speaking through this prophet, asks the people why they have not produced a rich yield. They are the fruit of much hard work by the Lord, but they have turned sour. God looked for judgment, but found bloodshed. He looked for justice, but found outcry. God expected the people to act in the way that God acted towards them. God had brought them out of the land of slavery into a land flowing with milk and honey. They should treat others with the same kindness and compassion that God had treated them. Instead, they have killed their own people, and their own people have cried out to God. In our psalm this morning, recounts the history of the Jewish people from being transplanted from Egypt into the Promised Land. God planted them there. God gave them all they needed to grow into a rich harvest. But because of their infidelity and their failing to follow God's commands, their cities have been destroyed, and their rich fields have been taken over by animals. In the gospel passage that was just read to you, Jesus is mindful of the Hebrew Scriptures, what we call the Old Testament, concerning vineyards. So he tells a story of the owner of a vineyard. He does all that is necessary to be sure that the vines produce good fruit. The owner builds a wall around the vines. He builds a wine press. He constructs a watchtower so he can guard the vineyard from attack. After he has done all this, he hands over the care of the grapes to his tenants. The tenants are greedy. They want the fruit, and they also want the land on which the grapes have been grown. The owner's servants come to collect what is owed to their owner. The tenants attack and kill the servants. More are sent, and they too are killed. Finally, he sends his son. The tenants drag the son outside the walls and kill him, just like Jesus was dragged outside the walls of Jerusalem and crucified. The message in our readings this morning is a challenge to us to see what Jesus has entrusted to us. God has provided all that we need. It would be so easy to be greedy and to see what we can get out of the crop for ourselves. Take to heart Paul's words to the Philippians and seek to treat others the way that God has treated us. We must be loving, gracious, kind, just, and fair. The final judgment for each of us will be based on how we have lived out the good news that we have received by treating others as if they were Jesus. Our salvation has already been earned for us by the one who was dragged outside the walls and put to death. Our response to the gift of salvation which we have received is to treat others with the peace of God as demonstrated by the one who came as the God of peace.